So we work on campus. We have sports teams on campus. One of the things I find very strange, I understand it, I guess, but it's compelled color choices. You can't walk around campus in a bright red shirt. Can't wear orange.
Have you been called out for this?
Oh, I have, yeah.
I have too. Twice, two notable exceptions.
Yeah.
So I used to only wear black or gray because
Johnny Cash.
Or just the whole 90s grunge aesthetic.
You have to wait until they free all of the wrongfully imprisoned prisoners. That's what Johnny Cash.
Folsom Prison, is that what?
Just wherever.
Anyway, I just like the aesthetic. I don't know. I'm pale. It's good, contrast. But Dr. Reg Soularette, who was on our podcast, he pointed it out one day. He said, "Are you emo or what? Why are you always in black?" And so I thought about that, and we ordered some shirts here at work with our logos on it, and I got some colored shirts, and I went and bought a colored polo. I came into work wearing an orange polo, and my boss, our boss saw it, and he's like, "Orange, Tennessee orange,
What are you doing?
never wear that again." Oh, no. And so I donated the shirt to Goodwill, and then I wore a red shirt. And some random lady I've never met, never seen in my life, looked at me. "Do you know where you are? Why would you wear Louisville?" I was like, "I'm sorry, what color choices are safe? Is Kentucky just rivals with everybody?" So it turns out black and gray are the safe choices. Yeah. It's that or blue. That's all you can do here.
I think red and orange are probably the two most
hated.
Most hated for clear and good reason. But I look good in red, and it pisses me off.
We need a dress code. Something. Like no red, no orange, and no jorts.
No jorts. That's fair.
You are listening to The Soapbox. I'm Paul.
And I'm Eric.
This all started out with a list. What's that all about?
So I've compiled a list over the years of things that just bother me, things that grind my gears. And I shared that list with you.
And I thought, you know what? That would make interesting conversation. Sometimes I'm going to want to agree with you, and it's just going to be something we talk about. Other times, though, I'm going to want to steel man the opposite position because I think that's just interesting conversation.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I'm always right, but Paul's just a really good debater.
Hey.
You ever received a text message?
What is that? I don't know what that is.
No, it's a neat little thing. Friends sent them.
Oh, so you have to have friends. Yeah. You should have led with that.
Well, you have to have blue friends, not green friends.
So let's talk about that for a second, because all stupid joking aside.
Yeah.
Blue and green. What is the distinction?
Yeah. So there are T-shirts on the memes on this and all this. Yeah. But if everyone in the text group is a iOS phone person, iOS device, all the messages show up in blue, right?
So blue is good.
Yeah, blue is good. And then you add someone who's an Android guy, and then the whole message, the color profile goes to green, indicating that you are now not using iMessage.
Their message or everybody's?
Everybody's. Isn't it right? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't pay that close of attention.
I think the whole chain goes green. Like I think the joke is, I'm the guy that turned the text messaging green.
Oh, okay. Well, that maybe actually alleviates some of my own confusion because I could never figure out, like, is my message supposed to be green? Is it supposed to be blue? I've got threads that are both, but now I understand somebody has peed in the well.
Yeah. And I think the big distinction and really what I think the meat of what we can talk about here is you can no longer text over Wi-Fi. You have to have
carrier service
to text.
Okay. So we looked these up right before we hit the record button. And this started with just short messaging service, SMS, right?
Yeah, right.
And it was carrier-based. And do you remember the dark days of cell phones when you purchased a text messaging package?
Yeah.
And the basic package for like $4.99 a month, you got 200 messages, SMS.
Yeah.
And then they figured out how to squeeze a little bit more bandwidth out of their towers. Maybe they went to 2G from, what was it, Edge I think was the original network.
Okay.
And when they went to 2G, you could send an MMS, multimedia service message, which was a very highly compressed image.
Yeah. With a flip phone type
flip phone
quality. Yeah.
You could maybe take a VGA quality image.
Yeah.
So something that was, I don't know, 256 by 256 pixels. Not awesome, but like compared to just text, kind of a big deal.
Yeah. You were, yeah.
But then stuff advanced a little further. You started getting into Wi-Fi being available on your phone. They got faster network with the 3G rollout, the 4G rollout, and now we're on 5G thanks to the COVID shot.
That's right, the chip.
And now we've got lots of options, but specifically iMessage. And then we looked up the Google one as well. It's the Rich Communication Service, RCS.
So this is still using data. This is still using.
It is, but it's more advanced texting.
Okay.
And so I think maybe correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. We literally just looked this up, and this all comes about because I'm thinking about being the guy that jumps ship after how many iterations of iPhone? I've got the 12 Pro Max. I've carried that for a couple years now, and I think we're on the 16 or the 17 now. I should know this. I watched the keynote. I just lost track.
Yeah.
And side note, can I rabbit trail for a moment? I feel like Apple needs to, at this point, since they messed up their naming conventions because they went from the iPhone to the iPhone 3G, right? And then 3GS. Yeah. So we had 2 3s in a row. And then they added a S every once in a while. And so the number doesn't reflect the number of phones that have ever been out.
That's true.
So why don't they do like cars and just say this is the 2026 iPhone?
Yeah. That would make
sense.
And
then everybody knows. You don't have to conflate the market with the XS and the XR and the, I don't know what all has been out at this point.
It is, unless you want to name your car line to spell the word sexy.
Oh, in which case, that's
S,
a very Elon thing to do.
It's the S, the 3, the X, and the Y.
So I think regardless of where you stand politically, we can all agree that Elon Musk is very bad at naming things.
Yeah.
Evidence 1, X, the platform.
The platform.
Evidence 2, all of the Tesla models. And then evidence 3,
his children.
All of them, yeah.
His children?
His children. They all have weird names. Yeah. Some of them symbols.
Yeah. Okay. So my gripe with the text messaging is we're at a point now where data, Wi-Fi, the distinction between having Wi-Fi and having data it's blurring, right? It's at the point now where you can be out in the middle of nowhere and you're going to use data the same way you really would use Wi-Fi. Now, obviously, there are people on certain plans and not unlimited, and they'll throttle the bandwidth, if you go over or whatever. But we're talking about a simple text message. Well,
how much data is that really using?
How much data is that using, and why should that communication rely on a cell phone signal, especially when you're in a position to have really good Wi-Fi? And I know Apple has addressed that with iMessage, but again, once you get the Android person in the loop, now if you have a bad cell signal and no Wi-Fi, you're trying to send a message, or no, you even do have, if you have bad cell signal but you have Wi-Fi, you can't send that message to the green group chat reliably.
Well, I think you're kind of dancing around the rationale there. And that is that you can send a text message when you don't have data. And that has a lot to do with the wavelength that they've chosen for that particular type of communication. Yes. You need more bandwidth for data than you do for voice. Yeah. And so they're going to go with the frequency that has more throughput but has less range.
Yeah. And that's, I think, if I remember correctly, that text messaging, early text messaging, was basically piggybacking on the voice.
It was, yeah. And since voice was a digital signal, you could send a digital text message on the same channel.
Yeah, and all of this means to me that when we have WhatsApp and we have Facebook Messenger and we have all these other apps, but what we're really fighting for is we're fighting to be on the home screen. And I think that's where I really run into the problem. By default, the text green bubble on iOS is on the home screen, and most people probably keep it there. And if they get a message, they see it.
So you're talking about the platform, particularly when you're comparing what's on the home screen being the text message button's the first in the line.
Yeah, right? and I'm not even saying it has to be first, but it's on that main page. If you have Facebook Messenger, maybe it's on page 2 or 3.
You have to download it.
You have to download it.
You're not getting it
Yeah.
in a factory setup.
Yeah, and some people will move it over. Other people will just leave it. And my point is, if you want a reliable way to communicate with people, and for a long time, a friend of mine and I stopped texting each other, and we switched to Google Chat or some other, again, something that didn't require a cell signal.
Yeah.
But the problem is, how do you band everyone together and get everyone on that one thing?
Yeah, well, and I think you know this as well as I do, but just to kind of lay out the entire case there, I think one of the reasons that this occurs is because you've got this idea of an ecosystem within each of these platforms, and Apple in particular is very stingy about their ecosystem. If you own an Apple Watch, that Apple Watch only works with iPhone. That's an accessory that would be lovely to use with your Android phone, and it would be some small stream of revenue for an Android user to be able to have that watch if they so desired. It just doesn't work. AirPods are famously bad at working with other devices, even though they're still compatible. You get audio. You don't get a lot of the other controls that the AirPods are known for. You don't get the noise cancellation. You don't get the adaptive sound.
iCloud is another one.
Absolutely, they want to lock you in, and there's financial incentive for that.
Sure.
But where this is breaking down for me, and I think where this is breaking down for a lot of people, is that it's not that big of a deal anymore. Blue bubble, green bubble, you might catch a little bit of crap for it. Probably less than I catch for being bald in any given week. I'll hear probably 2 or 3 bald jokes, but I wouldn't hear that many comments about switching to Android.
And you're probably right, except in cases, in particular, I notice it when you've got poor cell service. You're out somewhere, you've got poor cell service, but the Wi-Fi is amazing. And I've noticed this a couple times during the power outages in Lexington that seem to affect the radio towers. And, there would be cases where, we wouldn't have power at home, and we'd drive to the store and cell wouldn't work. Text messages weren't going through. And then you drive to another area in Lexington and boom, bing, 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 you get all your stuff. Even if you found a place that had Wi-Fi,
couldn't necessarily get all your messaging through. Yeah, and that's frustrating because, especially for emergency services, but also in areas where there's just topped out capacity. Those towers only have so many slots. And so the way that the cell phone tower works anyway is once you have a new message on that tower, you register on the top of the list. And as you're on that list longer and longer, you get pushed down. But there's a handoff that occurs between towers when you move between space. And since you're triangulated between multiple towers at multiple times, they're able to load balance.
And that's another good example, is a big crowded event.
Yes. And what they do for those crowded events is they bring out what they call COWs, computer on wheels. And it's basically a portable cellular ad hoc network that they can use to supplement that additional traffic.
All of this, though, to keep voice and data going when the venue probably has Wi-Fi.
Take a shot.
Often
now they do. I was really surprised. I went to see Shinedown this past week, and
you probably took some shots. I don't know.
I did not. I've been cutting. So I've been not consuming liquid calories, but wanted to. But no, I was very surprised that I could hop on Rep Arena's Wi-Fi. And it worked. And all of a sudden, what was very slow and laggy when I was competing with all the other plebeians that weren't connected to the Wi-Fi became a super easy experience, and I was able to connect.
That's another funny thing, too. I notice, and I try to ingrain it in my kids, like, hey, if you're going to be somewhere and you're going to be sitting there and streaming for a while, get on the Wi-Fi.
Don't use the data.
Like people, these unlimited networks, and they've conditioned us to just not care. And I used to actually have the setting to, remind me if there's a Wi-Fi nearby, but I think it got annoying and I realized that I would always go fish it out anyway, so I don't have it pop up anymore. But I think that's something that a lot of younger people just ignore. They're like, well, I don't need Wi-Fi, I got this. And it's like,
Now, I will say the one upside to the SMS versus doing it on a data signal is that a situation where maybe you're out hiking and you get lost and you're not near a cell phone tower and you're floating between 0 and 1 bars, you can get an SMS message through where you might not be able to get an MMS or RCS or an iMessage through.
And that's part of the struggle where if you've got poor internet and, again, regardless of Wi-Fi, you're trying to send one of these mixed ecosystem text, the greens and the blues, I guess they're all green, right? It'll say, could not send text message.
Do you want to send as MMS?
Send it as, MMS or SMS or whatever it might
SMS,
be.
sorry.
So it will downgrade it. You're not able to send the Giphy, goofy
emojis and crap.
Yeah, but you can send the basic, thing. I don't know if we need a call to arms. I don't know if we need iOS and or Apple and Google to just shake hands and just say, look, everyone's dealing with this.
I don't know if this was Google or Samsung, but one of the big players in the Android market actually did take out like a full page ad in the New York Times calling Apple to the carpet and saying, look, everybody needs to get along. But good old Tim Apple, sitting up in his ivory tower, he knows that if he just refuses to bend the knee, that he can sell a few more widgets and push those stock prices up. And he is a businessman first, and a visionary, maybe fifth or
sixth. I would like to see, because that's the thing. We have the technology. We've got WhatsApp. We've got all the other ones. We could use any of them, but the problem is it needs to be almost ubiquitous. It needs to be at least like the first way. Because we were talking on the walk over here. We have conversations throughout the day.
Oh yes.
Over text, over Teams, and over email.
That should probably just all be in one spot, but it's just whatever app we happen to be in at the moment, or are we away from our desk?
And if it's I get it. If you're forwarding an email, makes sense. If I'm sending you work related stuff, email's obviously the way to go. But if I look over at your Teams and your yellow, I'll be I'll hit a text so to get more of his attention. Or if it's red, well, he might be presenting.
In a meeting or something.
I don't want to send you an email or a thing. So I mean, there's context, and we talked about this whole session initiated protocol SIP thing before. But the idea is I should be able to send you a message to one global ID, and then you decide with rules or relationships or whatever how you get it. And we talk about Wolf too, right? Which was Dwight's.
No, Ryan.
It was Ryan. From The Office.
And he'd say "Wolf me," and all of a sudden he'd get a fax, he'd get a text message, his desk phone would start ringing, he'd get an email.
But I mean, in some ways, that's I would love to have that option again, as long as I could control how people, can communicate. But basically, you authorize people to say, okay, you can reach me on my home phone if you had such a thing. My cell phone, or even make it temporal, like
during certain hours, I'm only reachable via Teams Messenger because I'm at work.
Yeah,
and then when I log out for the day and I'm not looking at that thing, now it kicks over to my phone.
It goes to voicemail, or even and if you control it, and then that way too, if there was some, and I know there's a feature on some, I don't know if it's a phone or the carrier, but if you're in a vehicle moving a certain speed, it'll send all your calls to voicemail.
Yeah, that's the iOS, I think, isn't it, that does that with the driving mode?
Yeah, maybe. But then there is an option. You'll get a message like, hey, if you need to get in touch with them for real, push this button and it'll push through, which I'm sure gets abused, but it's nice that that's there because, again, if I wanted to woof you, like if there was a dumpster fire, emergency at work or whatever, and I'm set to, go right to voicemail after hour, whatever, hit the wolf button, and then you decide if this person's wolfable. I don't know. Anyway, there you go.
So that kind of bridges to one other thing, and we're taking this from a quick hit into a full episode slowly here, but that's okay. What in 2025 should be the reasonable expectation for your availability to receive messaging? Because I think one of the things that is lost in this generation and for us in this time is this notion that if I don't know if you've seen the cartoon somebody had put together. It said when the phone was tied to the wall, man was free.
That makes sense.
But and it's got the corded phone, and then it's got, I guess it's juxtaposed. The cell phone is really the actual shackle that somebody wears. At that time, though, you called somebody, and maybe they had caller ID, maybe they didn't. And they just had to answer the phone to see who was calling.
Yeah.
There was one phone in the house, and so anybody could pick it up.
Yep.
And there was a reasonable expectation that if you didn't answer, it's because you were doing something or you weren't there.
There's a phrase that is probably totally lost on our kids who have cell phones is ... there.
Oh,
You call a phone number and you ask, is Paul there? And it's like our kids like winding down windows. They're completely missing that.
There's and maybe I've told this story before about my kids in a hotel room, but they looked at this analog phone and they didn't know what it was. Yeah. And then they started talking to the clock radio like it was an Alexa, trying to get it to do stuff. Yeah. It's like, oh, kids, you don't know about the analog world. Yeah. We used to have to interface with things with our fingers.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, taking your point, we are now in a situation where, especially thinking about you and IT.
Just anybody with a device in their pocket.
Yeah. Well, but I'm thinking in particular, like a server can go down on the weekend. You're on vacation, or you're just you're clocked out. You're in vacation mode, and you're still holding your device.
And I'm still receiving messages about it. And maybe I can't physically do anything about it, but that's still going to add stress to the vacation, right?
Yeah.
Like, do I have to fly home? Is that kind of an emergency?
And then it gets to, do you want to be able to control how much you are reachable? Because that's the other thing too is we really don't have the excuse of, sorry, I didn't have my phone with me, or it's like, did you not? Yeah, I feel like
Well, we're kind of treading into territory of work related, and maybe let's separate the conversation out. Let's put it. We can explore that one now, or we can come back to it. But I guess I'm thinking of what is the just overall social expectation of being reachable. Mm-hmm. Like if you've got a device in your pocket, and perhaps you're taking a shower, or you're having a conversation with somebody else, or you're in a meeting, or you're doing something that needs your full attention, you're not going to pick up.
Yeah.
But then, doesn't that start a little bit of a clock in your mind? Mm-hmm. Like, when's this person going to call me back? Yeah. Especially if you leave a message, especially if you text them. And I think that there is sort of an unspoken, unwritten rule culturally that if I message you, you're not going to leave me on red, right? You're not going to just check the message and then not bother to reply. Because you may intend to and then forget. Lots of other things volley for your attention.
Oh, for sure.
But if you don't reply, that is seen, or at least I'd perceive it to be a slight. Mm-hmm. And
also, and I'll say this to the camera, when I call someone and I get voicemailed, that is a sign of I can't talk right now. I get it, but that's another one that feels like a slight, but I get it and I do it too. But
I do it indiscriminately. I'm not choosing who gets sent to voicemail. I'm just protecting the time I've got.
And I think that's exactly what we're talking about here. And I think that's a good signal of. And I usually if I call you and I get voicemailed again, I usually take that as a sign as you know what, I'm not going to expect a reply probably until working hours or later. If it's important, I'll follow up with a text or an email or whatever. I also try to do that too. If it's podcast stuff, I'll try to text you. If it's work related, I'll go email. And now Outlook, and this blurs into our previous episode about email, but Outlook has a feature where if I started typing an email to you and it's 7:00 at night, there's a little thing on there that says, hey, would you like to hold this message and wait to send it until working hours? And that's a super cool feature.
Yeah.
Because I can send the message.
It's out of your mind.
It's out of my mind. It's off my checklist. But then it'll sit there and waiting and then get to you.
At a time where I'm likely going to check it in a more expedient fashion anyway. So it actually speeds things up.
Because I'd rather you not see it at 7:00 if it's not emergency.
Well, because the risk is I'm watching the show with my family or I'm eating dinner. I see it, and then it's marked as red.
Yeah. Now that's another one too that the guys on SmartList. SmartList has only been on the podcast has only been on for 5 years. And one of the early episodes they talked about how annoying is it that you can't mark a text message as unread or as
mark as unread after you read it, just so you can go back to it.
And they talked about it. So in the last 5 years, I'm not sure when it happened, but you know this now. I assume you can do that now. You can go to you have to swipe right on a text message string, and a little blue thing pops up.
Oh, nice.
And you can mark it as so that's new.
I don't know if I knew that.
I don't know when this happened, but there's the camera, right? You just go swipe there and make a little blue thing. Now, I assume that works for the green people too.
Can the green people do it, or is this an iMessage exclusive?
I'm trying to. Okay, here I've got a green. I'm getting texts as we're talking here. I do have a green. Yeah, okay, you can still do it for green people too. Green people. So non-iOS, and now I've just marked a bunch of my texts as unread.
Blowing up my phone.
Yeah, but that's a really neat feature that I don't know why it took. How many years has iPhone been out?
20.
20. It took
something close to 20.
Yeah. So I mean,
it'll be 20. I think in 2006, 2007. So 26, 27.
It's taken 16, 17 years for them to, and I hear people talk about it all the time. But hey, so PSA to the world. You can do that now.
Yeah. Well, we've got a couple minutes left if we want to make this a full episode.
Yeah.
You want to pivot and talk about just cool pro tips that you didn't know your phone could do?
Ooh, there you go. You got some?
Because I feel like there's probably some little hidden nuggets there that are really, really nice that people don't necessarily know.
Yeah. Yeah. We have.
So I bring that up, and then I got
you
nothing.
The one many people probably know this might be silly, but with iOS, looking at the home screen, there's a whole lot of new functionality of where you're swiping. You can swipe the top right corner, and you get that little panel that's got the brightness, the volume, things like that. But then there's also, you swipe down the middle, and you can look at your notifications. And I always thought that was kind of neat. And then there's even, you can swipe to the left. I'm swiping right to get the left panel open, and that's got your battery stuff and stocks and widgets, and
widgets are a curious one for me because Apple keeps trying to make that work.
Yeah.
Have you ever been a Mac user?
Not really. And I've talked about it before. I developed an app for an iPad some years ago that Cabinet was trying to toy with, and I had a Mac that I had to learn was it Xcode or whatever it was back then.
Probably, yeah.
And so I dipped my toes in that jacuzzi, but not really.
Yeah. So older iterations of the Apple OS, which at the time was Mac OS 10, and it was OS 10 for like 20 years. Mm-hmm. And then finally Windows 11 came out, and so they suddenly versioned.
Yeah, they were.
Because they wanted to make sure that they had just as many good versions as their major competition.
The Xbox and PlayStation, everyone's doing it.
Which naming conventions could be another rabbit trail we want to go down. But they put widgets into the operating system, and it just nobody used it. Didn't work out very well. They finally killed it, and now I think it might even be back. It's been a long time since I've used a Mac, but there was a good amount of time there where widgets just weren't working for them, and now we see that crop up again on iOS. And I think that the widgets would be more helpful if the screen was more customizable.
Yeah.
This is where I think I've actually been toying with the notion of maybe going to Android, because with Android you can completely customize it. You get to tinker more. You have to work a little bit more to use it, but then all of a sudden something like a widget becomes a lot more useful because it's not just a 4x4, 2x2, 8x8 block.
You can really
on a grid system. You can really make it your own.
That we've talked about before, the fact that you and I both used to be under the hood, in the weeds, customize, custom Winamp skins, and all of it, right? And
there was a season where I wanted to fully customize, and this was probably around the time that MySpace was popular, and if you just learned a little bit of HTML, you could have the coolest MySpace homepage with animated GIFs. And
we did that with Arizona Bay. Yep.
So I was doing that, and stumbled across a tutorial on how to make your own Winamp skin, and I thought that was the coolest. So I went and stole a bunch of art off of the Adult Swim website, and that in that era, it was Futurama was like a really big feature, and I think Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Space Ghost probably were the shows that I watched, and I totally made an Adult Swim Winamp skin, posted it on their MySpace page, and they're like, "This is great," and they put it on their website, and so I got a small moment of nerd accolade for being the guy that made the Adult Swim Winamp skin. So if anybody's used that, it was an all black skin with the white text for Adult Swim, and then it had all the art just spread across the UI. So I'd love it if somebody else had ever used it.
Yeah. All right. Talking about features, this is a cool feature, but also it's a bit of a soapbox too. So this is the double one. But I see people with their phones, and I bet you're one of them too. Although your phone's right there. Folders for days, right? Mm-hmm. People that organize. Well, now a funny aside to all this, the kids once took Kristen's phone and organized her apps by color. And I think it might still to this day be kind of organized out. I think that's
hilarious.
That's pretty ridiculous. Because it's really hard on your brain. Because a lot of times I'll try to open TeamSnap, which is orange, and I'll open up Orange Theory, which is obviously orange, and it's like your brain goes to color. Anyway, I have my home screen where these are my main apps that I use. I have a handful of apps on the second screen. In kind of groups of things that I use somewhat often. And then the rest of it, I have no idea. So,
but you don't do folders.
I don't do folders. I let it do the organization for all the just pull down the screen and start typing.
And it finds what you're...
all you have to do is put in the first 2-3 letters of the app you're looking for, and it will find it. And take a shot while you do it. And, not only that, if you pull down, you've got the Siri suggestions where it creepily uses time of day, location, whatever.
Frequency of app use.
Yeah. And it'll suggest, oh, you probably want to open this or that. Here we're doing the Soapbox. So OneNote and OneDrive are both there. I use those for the notes, right? So I don't even know where the Facebook app is. It's somewhere on here, but I pull it down and it's usually there. That's my, I have 2 minutes to kill and there. But otherwise, just search, and I watch my friends sift through things and folder and that, and anyway.
I like the folders because I don't like the chaos of having everything everywhere.
Okay.
And I have pretty decent categorization system.
Okay.
But I'm not hunting things down in folders. I am still using the search.
Okay.
But I think for the folks that aren't using the search, if I were your kid and I was wanting to mess with you, I would take a screenshot of all your icons as they look. Then I would create a folder on the next page, dump all your stuff in it, and then set that as your background so that you're constantly wondering why the button didn't work anymore.
This goes back to our April Fool's jokes. Yeah. But yeah, that's, I don't know. I think generally speaking, talking about the Winamp thing, I used to be a really, really custom, get into everything just like I like it. It reminds me of, I think it was Samuel L. Jackson in, Jackie Brown. And he tells someone, hey, don't touch my radio. I got all my settings just like I like it. And I used to want to make my phone and my desktop computer, all the settings just like I like it. And I used to have notes of okay, brand new computer.
Got to download these customizations. And that breaks with updates now. Yeah. I think that over time, your spirit gets broken when your favorite plugin developer quits supporting a plugin or whatever. So I wonder if that's a little bit of a function of age. I'm thinking before we wrap it here, if I suggest tips and tricks and then I don't offer at least one,
yeah, you got to get in here.
I'm terrible.
Yeah,
I'll give. This is something I think is kind of basic, but if you didn't know, it's going to blow your mind. When you're typing text, if you push and hold on the space bar, you can actually move the cursor back and forth. Yeah. So if you're like me and you can't seem to get a space, and then instead you just type whatever letter is next to you where your finger is on the space bar, and then it gives you a weird amalgamation of a word, well, just push and hold on the space bar, and then you can wind it back to the space where you need to make a correction.
So that's really neat that you brought that up, because I have found, and I can pull up a text here and type, but yeah, if you click and hold. I also feel like something happened where I lost the iOS feel. There's something in the behavior of that feature. It when it came out, and it's still kind of this day. It feels buggy and choppy and not iOS like. I feel like it was a hack.
Somebody put in there at the expense of breaking other things.
Yeah, maybe. I
feel that way about copy and paste. If I'm trying to select a block of text, trying to get just the end of a sentence and not the whole next 2 lines feels like I have no understanding of the operating system and how it's supposed to work.
You've got those 2 little anchor points that you're trying to move, and then they select all, and they jump. Yeah, it's
so yeah. There's Tim Apple, if you're listening, make it good. Make iOS good again.
Make iOS good again. Yeah. There are, I imagine there are a whole other set of features people don't know about that.
Well, and the actual keyboard itself is kind of spectacular. To get a keyboard that small to respond with any degree of accuracy, a lot of your typing, you're not typing the correct characters with these big old fat meaty fingers. No. It's using some sort of logic. I don't want to say AI because this was really pre-AI, but some sort of logic is in there to say, okay, well, his finger's on the Z, but he meant for it to be on the U or whatever. And so it's kind of getting its best guess.
I find it really bizarre where, and maybe there's a reason for this, but you'll be typing, and I'm awful. I'm bad speller, bad typer, put them together, and it's almost even worse. Well, it is worse. But I'll type a word badly, and then down below it'll suggest 3 things, and none of them are right.
Or even close to
Or even close. Sometimes I will ignore that, leave the word. Yeah.
Tap on it.
Then tap.
And the suggestion's better, isn't it?
Come on. What's happening there?
I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense. How is it that... Okay, so you're with me.
I'm with you. And I feel like maybe a lot of us are, and nobody really says it out loud.
Yeah.
The other thing with typing, though, and this is where you and I are going to have to like surrender our get off my lawn old man mentalities. Have you tried the swipe to type?
I tried it for a little bit.
It's really good.
I couldn't get it. Now, I tried it years ago.
It's far more accurate in terms of predictive text, completing the idea of the sentence, getting the spelling right. It's just, it doesn't feel natural.
Yeah, that's the part I couldn't shake. So we're talking about here for Tracy is that you don't take your finger off the keyboard, right?
Yeah, instead of the click, 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 where you're going to have to make distinct interactions with the keyboard, you just zip your finger in the near proximity of the letters you want it to type, and it's going to make a guess that's probably better than your actual ability to type that word.
Yeah. It's like if you've ever played New York Times strands.
It's a big strand of letters.
Big strands, yeah. So, yeah, I've seen people go with the custom keyboard layouts and different. Early iOS had a lot of weird keyboard things. I wonder if there's a big fat finger keyboard that's out there. Maybe
I know that there's accessibility options to make it larger. So maybe it's time. Maybe when you get the readers, you have to go into accessibility and make it work too.
I'm having trouble with seeing far, but I'm a little better with this. So.
Is that why you always say looking good, and then you walk up closer and your face changes?
Yeah. Yes, it's true.
All right. Well, probably need to go because we're using my phone to actually record this, and it's been about 35 minutes.
And your battery's no good anymore?
My battery's no good anymore, and I got to check my messages. So see ya. Thanks for listening to The Soapbox. Eric, how can people find us?
Well, conveniently, we put everything on our Linktree site. You can go to Linktree, search SoapBoxLex, and you'll find all of our socials there, plus ways to reach us, ways to engage, and some of our original content, so you can see some of the other stuff that we do.